Hey all, Ron here from Military Images Magazine with a new episode of Life on the Civil War Research Trail. During his time as a Confederate general, the man pictured here, Virginia born Sterling Price, began his military service participating in three early victories in Missouri at Carthage, Wilson's Creek, and Lexington, where the last named battle he had overall command. A hero of the nascent Confederacy, Price then suffered a string of losses that mirrored Southern fortunes west of the Mississippi. Still, the imposing general, standing more than 6 feet tall with silver hair and whiskers, a ruddy complexion, and the manners of the finest gentleman, was beloved by his men. Fleeing the country from Mexico after the war, Price returned to Missouri in poor health and barely survived the peace, dying in 1867. An admirer, Mrs. William Shields Claggett, wrote a biography celebrating Price's life and contributions to the South, and especially her beloved Missouri. Published in 1912, her writing captures Southern attitudes at the time where reunification between the two sections was nearing its apex, and Southern heroes like Lee and Jackson were held up as pillars of military strength, chivalry, and loyalty to states over country. The United States had emerged as one of the global powers, and a great war would soon test its abilities on the world stage. I want to share Claggett's biography of General Price. Claggett begins. She begins with a quote by Eugene F. Ware. Ware says, or writes, states are not great except as men make them. Men are not great except as they do and dare. Claggett continues, to be a Missourian is a blessed heritage. To have been a child in Missouri in the stirring days of the 60s, with the clean, unwritten page of life to be filled with indelible and character molding impressions, was indeed an unique privilege, for it wielded us just a little more as one with our state. In this, the name of General Sterling Price was a strong factor. Where is the child who could forget or cease to venerate the name of Pap Price as it fell from the lips of idolized, grown up young men of her acquaintance, wearing the jaunty little military cap of gray and shining brass buttons? Why, it was the center and circumference of all things on earth. What cared we for Dixieland or for the happy land of Canaan, so long as Missouri was right in the front ranks with her, General Sterling Price? It is said that to none of our state heroes have we accorded such generous and unstinted praise. Yet the writer and the historian have done but little for him. Indeed, it is only within the last few years that the South's irreproachable King Arthur, Robert E. Lee, has been given his merited place in the printed page. We of the South seem to have been possessed all unconsciously of a feeling of smug contentedness and belief that such apparent worthiness would be recognized by the world without a blare of trumpets. We have now reached a safe distance from the field of action for a true evaluation, from interests and counter interests, to give to men from both sides their rightful place in history. Then we may expect our own beloved state will exploit one who ranked with Lee and Jackson in its memory and the cause which he espoused. W. L. Webb, in his Battles and Biographies of Missourians, has sounded a rousing keynote. Sterling Price was born in Prince Edward County, Virginia in 1809. His education was completed at Hampton and Sydney, and later by studying law. He came of a good, intelligent, and well to do family. In 1831, he moved with his father's family to Missouri and settled on a farm in Chariton County, which remained his home as long as he lived. Like most young men, he cast about in different ways for a living, first as tobacco commission merchant, a leading industry in Missouri in those days, and then a hotel proprietor. His hotel is still shown in Salisbury, Missouri. In 1840, he represented his country in the legislature. While but little known outside of his own county and only 31 years old, he was made Speaker of the House. So satisfactory was he as a presiding officer that he was similarly honored the next term. From this time, he was the most prominent man in the state in civil and military affairs. While chairman of the convention that framed the Constitution of our state, it is said that he suggested the motto, which is and will be Missouri's for all time, Salus Populi Suprema Lest Ext. The welfare of the people is the supreme law. In 1846, he was elected to Congress. After serving 2 years, he resigned to go to the Mexican War. He offered his services to President Polk and was appointed by him to enlist the 2nd Missouri Mounted Volunteers with the commission of colonel. After the regiment was raised and rendezvoused at Fort Leavenworth, he declined the honor of the promotion conferred by the president until it was voted upon by his men, and he was unanimously elected by them. With this regiment, he captured Taos, New Mexico. He commanded the Battle of Canada, New Mexico, January 24th, 1847. In July of that same year, he was promoted to brigadier general and later was appointed military governor of Chihuahua. On March 16, 1848, he won the Battle of Santa Cruz de Rosales. At the close of the war, he returned with his troops to Missouri. They were accorded great consideration and open-handed hospitality. At the next general election in 1852, General Price was elected governor by a sweeping majority. While governor, he urged that the salary of his successor be raised. The act was passed, making it operative at once, but he never drew the balance due him. At the close of his 4 years of office, he retired to his farm in Chariton County, but not retirement from public life, for he was state bank commissioner from 1857 to 1861. Only 4 tranquil years of country life was spent before the war between the states again called him to arms. He was chairman of the Second Constitutional Convention, which declared against slavery. When the Gamble Convention first met, he was a strong Union man. General Price loved the government for which he had fought and bled, but to a Virginian, states' rights came first. The precipitation of federal forces and authority into the state by the capture of Camp Jackson in St. Louis determined him to offer his military services to Governor Jackson in driving the state such men as Nathaniel Lyon and to maintain the purity of the government by its own officials. It was not for secession. He organized a Missouri army of mounted volunteers called the State Guards and was given the commission of Major General by Governor Jackson. It was a Missouri army and marched under the flag of Missouri. This army fought the battles of Wilson's Creek, Dry Fork, Lexington, Pea Ridge, and a score of others. It was not till after the Battle of Pea Ridge in March 1862 that the flag of Missouri was folded and that of the Stars and Bars was raised. General Price then became a Confederate soldier and went to fight east of the Mississippi River. He was made Major General in the Confederate Army. He had endeared himself to his men and his state with lasting ties. McElroy, in his The Struggle for Missouri, and with small leaning to the Confederate side, describes Price as white-haired, large of frame, imposing, benignant, paternal, and flexible as to what he considered principles. He was of massive proportions, 6 feet 2 inches in stature. His face was ruddy and was framed by silver white hair and whiskers worn in the old English fashion. His voice was clear and ringing, suited to command. He had the bearing and ease of a polished gentleman. His men loved and venerated him. He loved and cared for them. At the Battle of Lexington, he recovered $900,000 from the federal forces and returned it to the bank officials to whom it belonged. He was thanked by the Confederate Congress for ability shown in this engagement. During his Confederate service, the women of New Orleans presented him with a sword costing $1,000 in gold. General Price, as Grand Commander, with the assistance of Southern sympathizers who lived in the North, organized the American Knights of the state of Missouri. About 25,000 Missourians associated themselves with this order. He made a raid into the state in September 1864, getting as far north as Kansas City, really to the Kansas line, when he was driven back at the Battle of Westport and went south to Arkansas. His plan to secure recruits from the American Knights of Missouri had been frustrated by General Rosecrans of the Federal forces. After the war, General Price went to Mexico and obtained from the Archduke Maximilian a grant of land near Cordova and founded a colony of ex-Confederate officers. With the downfall of Maximilian, the grant became worthless, and in 1867, General Price returned to St. Louis. He opened up a tobacco commission warehouse on Commercial Street under the name of Sterling Price. He died at his home on Chouteau Avenue, September 29th, 1867. His remains rest in beautiful Bellefontaine, the leading cemetery of St. Louis. His wife was Miss Shepherd of Chariton County, Missouri. She died during the war. The Shepherd family were originally from Albemarle County, Virginia. 4 children, 3 sons and a daughter survived him. Stump, Celsus, Celeste, who married R.B. Willis, a wholesale dry goods merchant of Galveston, and Quintus, the only one of the immediate family now living. So there you have the story from a Southern perspective, from a Missouri woman fiercely loyal to her state, to the South, and notably General Sterling Price. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next episode of Life on the Civil War Research Trail.